Welcome to the My Business on Purpose podcast. I'm super excited about part 2 of Should I Hire an Intern? So if you missed our episode, part 1 on Should I Hire an Intern, we talked about just why people hire interns, what's some of the work that they can do, what are some of the biggest obstacles, where do you find an intern, how do you hire, what do you pay, several different things that we talked about in part 1. So make sure to listen to that. But today is part 2, and we have our own Business on Purpose intern, Conner, with us. And I'm excited because he, of course, is going to share his experience with us for the past 30 days that he's been an intern at My Business on Purpose. So we're going to dig right in. Conner, how's the last 30 days been?
It's been fantastic. I've felt useful, which is not always the case for an internship, and I feel like I've learned a lot, which is also not the case for every internship. So,
yeah, that's great. Now, what made you decide to do an actual internship?
just an internship in general, because I think even though I'm getting a degree and I'm working towards that, even this summer doing summer classes, I think real world experience is hard to beat, and you can't get that in college, especially for something like marketing. Learning about abstract terms and stuff is good and all. I think it's very useful, but you also need that real world experience.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I completely agree. But how did you come across My Business on Purpose?
Yeah, so that's funny. It's not the most flashy thing, but my mom knows Jesse Barber through school. My mom is a teacher there, and one of Jesse's kids goes there. So
Okay, fantastic. I always love it when we use our hiring process well, because one of the things we have on there is to look internally first. So
yeah,
it sounds like Jesse did a pretty good job about that. And in talking about the hiring process, what did you think about that?
I thought it was pretty good. I was well informed before I even decided to take the job, or before I was even offered the job. I was well informed, and I loved what you guys were about, and I feel like Jesse's been the one that I've been communicating with the most. She's been slowly giving me more and more work in different kind of variety. So I wasn't completely overloaded that first day. So it's been nice and easy. I've been able to ease into it. That's what I mean.
Good, good. I
Yeah.
know when they were taking you through the hiring process, they were kind of keeping us in the loop. And I even remember looking at your DIS test. Do you remember getting that
Yes.
DIS test? What did you think about that?
I thought it was really interesting. It's probably the most accurate personality test I've taken. I was like, man, this does sound like me.
Yeah,
And in other ones, not so much. So I thought it was
yeah.
great.
Okay. Well, so for those of you small business owners listening to this podcast, you hear we even take our interns through the hiring process. It's not just W-2 employees or 1099 contractors. Even the interns, they get a DIS test, they get homework, just like everyone else. And then you mentioned that you felt like Jesse really kind of put you into the onboarding process slowly and has been giving you things to do little by little. So I'm excited to hear that you feel like you were trained right. Talk to me. What are some of the things that you've been doing for BOP?
Recently, I've been doing I've been working on thumbnails, doing a lot on Canva and a little bit on Photoshop, just trying to design things, do some like aesthetic kind of work. And then I've worked for clients, not this week, but in previous weeks, I've worked for some clients taking videos, taking photos. I prefer to do like marketing work, and that has a lot to do with aesthetics. So yeah, I've been doing other intern stuff like sending mail out and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Uh,
that's great. And I
yeah,
loved your graphic that you're working on right now for Thomas. I think it looks fantastic. I was excited to kind of get to collaborate with you on that.
awesome. I appreciate it.
So talk to me. I know that you had actually done an internship before for a larger corporation. How do you feel like it compares when it comes to My Business on Purpose, which is a little bit smaller of a business?
I prefer the smaller business internship. In the big corporation I was working for previously, like I said, I didn't feel as useful as I do here. I feel pretty useful here because I guess there's less people, and so things can move faster. And I think I'm communicated with more often, maybe. Yeah, just my work seems more relevant to the company as a whole because I'm not. The fraction is smaller. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cut that
you're
out.
not
Okay.
just a number. It sounds like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
feel like
okay.
you're a part of the team.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we feel like you're a part of the team.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
which is great. And so, when you talk about just being in that larger corporation and kind of feeling like a number, I know Jessie, she actually meets with you every week to kind of line out your week and your assignments for the week. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, she does. She puts it in a Google Sheets document a lot of the times too. So I have it laid out for me, very nice when I come in the morning. And yeah, she comes in on Tuesday mornings and we discuss what I'm going to be doing for the next week. We talk a lot on Slack. She's great with communicating. I would say she gets back to me within like 2 minutes most of the time. But
Yeah.
sometimes she's busy taking calls, but it's never. I don't think it's ever been more than an hour, which is amazing. So.
Okay. Do you feel like that weekly communication is pretty critical to your success and your enjoyment of this internship?
Absolutely. And she gives me a little bit of flexibility. She says, what would you like to work on today? Unless there's something that's super pressing, she's not going to ask me that question because it needs to get done. But yeah, I think she's a really good communicator and she makes sure that I understand what the task requires of me. So I'm able to do the best job that I can.
That's great. And then just looking again at your last internship, what were some of the things that you loved about it? But then what were some of the things that you really didn't like about it?
I'd say the main thing I liked more is that there were more interns. So
You
I
have a
had
little
more
intern
people.
community?
Yeah, I did. We all had one table that we shared. Besides that, I honestly like the smaller business setup more in every aspect. I even like my role here more. Like I said, with a bigger corporation, there's just you don't know as many people that are as relevant. But here, I know all the employees personally, so that's amazing.
Okay. And then how would you kind of relate your experience as an intern compared to what you're learning in school?
It's a real world experience. It's not abstract. I'm learning how to apply the abstract. And like I said, I'm doing more aesthetic work instead of like memorizing terms and stuff like that. I'm learning how to communicate better, maybe. Yeah, it's real world application is what it is.
Okay. Okay. And then ultimately, how do you feel like this overall internship is helping you to kind of reach what your goals in life are?
Hmm. Okay, so I definitely want to do something in marketing, something maybe with design, like visual design, and that's another goal of me doing internships over the summers because I want to try to experience every facet of marketing to see what I really do want to do. Thankfully, marketing is pretty general, so I have some flexibility in the future, maybe. But yeah, I think I've definitely enjoyed this, and I might want to work for a smaller company. And I really like how ethical you guys are with stuff because as a marketing major, sometimes people will make you make unethical decisions because
Mhm.
sometimes you're appealing to like some unethical desires that people might have in marketing because it's so psychological and sometimes human psychology is not the best. So I love that I don't have to worry about those ethical dilemmas here.
That's awesome. Well, I know that, but I'm glad to get to hear somebody else say that. So that's great. So for all of our business owners that are listening to this interview with a BOP intern, you've heard a few of the things that he has said that are pretty important to him. One is, not feeling like a number. He's really enjoyed that weekly communication, knowing exactly what's expected of him every week. And then walking through that hiring process, and getting to actually know who Conner was prior to him coming on were all big things that we talked about today. But I have one last question for you, Conner, before we go. What would be one thing that you would say to any business owner listening to this podcast right now about bringing on an intern?
I would say I think a lot of companies will hire an intern and they'll be like, we can use them for this and that. And then after a week or two, they'll stop using them. So the intern will just be sitting there. And I think you're not profiting with the employee that you have there because maybe you feel like you don't have enough time to, step aside for a second and say, this is what you should be doing and here's how you do it. But I think if you can like go ahead and plan, this is what they're going to do ahead of time and have a clear plan for yourself, how you're going to use the intern, you are going to get a lot more from them. And another thing is that interns love to feel useful. At least I do. Some interns might just want to sit there and be able to put it on their resume. That's not me. I want to be able to use my time the best I can and learn. So for my case, I really appreciate how you guys are trying to teach me stuff, and I feel useful. You're communicating well with me. So all those things.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it because you just did some coaching for me, Conner. We, of course, preach all the time that you need a plan in place and you also need weekly communication. So you just pointed out both of those things. So, guys, you heard it straight from the intern's voice. If you don't have time to plan out what you want an intern to do and you don't have time to work with them on a weekly basis to line out what they're going to do, then don't bring on an intern. But if you want to put a plan in place and you want to work with a great intern, part one tells you how to go find them and what to do. And you've just heard from the voice of the BOP intern how to make sure their experience is successful for not just them, but also for you. Thanks so much, Conner, for joining us, and good luck with the remaining of your internship.
Thank you.